Man refuses to give his daughter back to her bio mom. AITA December 2, 22. Originally posted by Dono Carter 1 in art. Am I the asshole? Original post November 26, 22. AITA for refusing to give my daughter back to her biological mother? To avoid confusion, my daughter, Millie, 14, is biologically my niece. So what happened was, years ago when Millie was about 3, my sister, her mom, Layla, 38, left to work in another country, leaving Millie in my 44M care. Millie's father died before she was born. Layla had promised to send money for me to take care of Millie and that she'd call and visit as often as she could until she could take Millie to live with her permanently. After she left, she called probably 3 times in the first 2 months and then went AWOL. For years I tried to find out what happened and assumed the worst, only to hear from one of her friends a couple of years later that she got married to someone else and has an entire new family. I was heartbroken because Millie would ask when her mom was coming back and I never knew what to say, except, soon. But even she grew tired of it and realized when she was about 8 that her mom wasn't coming back anytime soon. That's if she was coming back at all. Because of this situation, me and my wife were granted parental rights to Millie and she couldn't have been happier that we were officially her parents. Well, what do you know? After 11 years, Layla finally graced us with her long overdue return last week, along with her new very wealthy family and 2 children. Most of the family was happy with her return but me, my mom, dad, and my wife were nothing short of furious. She tried to explain but all that we heard was, I abandoned my own daughter and made a new family. As if that wasn't enough, she practically demanded her daughter back. Mom and dad weren't having it at all and told her Millie belongs with me and my wife and that she no longer has any right to her. Welp, there she goes screaming at me about stealing her daughter because I was infertile, and to hear that come out from her mouth hurt me in a way I've never been hurt before, to the point where I cried and left. Me being infertile has always been my weak point, and for her to casually bring it up like that, despite being my sister, broke me. For the next days, I prevented her from contacting Millie and I haven't told her that Layla is back because I'm scared I'll lose my daughter. I'm a human being too. I get attached, especially to someone I've had to raise. That too out of my own pocket. Not that I'm complaining. I believe Millie is my daughter and I can't let her go back to the very same woman who abandoned her. Does this make me talk? Edit. I'd like to thank each and every one of you. All your criticism is valid and I really appreciate you guys for making me realize that I might lose my daughter by keeping the return of her mom away from her. I'd also like to apologize for the way I phrased some of the things. By no means do I think of my daughter as some possession. She is her own person and doesn't belong to anyone. As such, I've changed the phrase belong to belong with to accurately represent what was meant. I love you guys for all the support you've given me and I definitely will consult a lawyer. Me and my wife have agreed to tell Millie about her mother tonight and we will make sure it's all about how she feels and not about us. Update December 2nd, 22. I would like to apologize for not responding to the comments and messages I've received lately. Things have been tough ever since we told Millie about Lila's return. After all the support and advice, you deserve an update on the situation. I don't even know where to begin really. Everything has been a mess. Way too much happened the day after we told Millie. Since there's no word limit here, I'll try getting into as much detail as I can. That night, we told Millie that Layla had returned, and for a good few minutes, she was looking at us, as if waiting for us to say we were joking, but after she realized we were not, she broke down into tears and it hurt. Of course she wanted to know more, and though we were hesitant, We ended up telling her about Layla and her new family. I'd never seen her that furious. She was all over the place, throwing stuff around, and we let her because she needed to let it all out. For the night she refused to talk to me, since I should have told her the moment she came back in. My wife stayed with her for the night. Her anger subsided by morning and we patched things up. At first she wasn't sure if she wanted anything to do with Layla, but we let her make that choice. And she wanted to see her. And Osa, God help me with that woman. We set up the meeting for her and Layla, but she brought her entire family to the house along with her expensive gifts. And everything went downhill from there. Need to mention a very important part that should have made Layla realize she truly abandoned Millie. Along with the family was her sister-in-law, Tanya, about the same age as her. When both of them entered, Millie could not even recognize who amongst them was Layla, and they looked worlds apart from each other. I had hoped that was enough to convince her to see what she did, but she carried on and pointed out that she was Layla, all while attempting to get close to her even when she was clearly distancing herself. It got so bad that my wife had to come in between them and her husband had to pull her away. That's when she started yelling at my wife for coming in between her and Millie, also accusing her of replacing her. What was there to replace? She was never there to begin with. And wow, what a first impression she made to the kid she abandoned. Millie became infuriated once more and things were said. When I say she said what needed to be said, I mean it. It was a serious situation, but me and my wife were struggling to hide our smiles when Millie told Layla off. She called her cruel, selfish, disgusting, evil, and many more vile words to express her hatred towards her. Tanya had to take Lila's kids outside. Normally I'd not entertain the vocabulary Millie was using, but for this specific instance, I just had to allow it. She was too worked up after this and I had to take care upstairs to calm down. Now it was just me and my wife v Layla and her husband. And along came the usual chorus. She accused us once again, now saying we influenced Millie to hate her. She was in tears, and for a minute, I felt sorry for her. My wife politely asked we discuss this like adults. Now the revelations begin, and honestly, I rest my case. As we were recalling events of the past and why Layla never contacted us again, Jeremy, her husband, was visibly confused. He looked lost, completely lost, to the point where I thought he wasn't feeling well, and I offered we take a walk. And well, we start talking about this matter and I was beyond shocked. According to him, when he and Layla met, she never said anything about a child, and only after the marriage did she reveal she had a child. Not by choice anyway, because he found out from one of my billion texts to her regarding Millie. She further lied and said my family forced her to give up her child to me because I was infertile and desperate for a child that shared blood with me. But it doesn't end there. When Jeremy wanted to read the rest of the texts, she deleted them because I was apparently insulting and making threats to her that were so disturbing she didn't want Jeremy to see them. Of course I showed him the texts from my phone and he couldn't believe it. It gets even worse. It was said that I was preventing her from contacting Millie, and she didn't even want to involve the police in the matter because me and my family were dangerous, so she thought it was best not to contact us anymore to protect her new family. At some point I was thinking to myself how incredibly stupid Jeremy was to believe Lila's blatant attempts to cover the fact that she abandoned a child. But I feel for the guy. He was probably so smitten with my sister, just like all her exes, that he failed to see through her pretentiousness. I didn't even get to ask why they chose to come back now because Jeremy was angry and he went back inside fuming. They were fighting so loudly I had to send them outside. It was clearly going to get violent and we had to physically separate the two. Jeremy took Tanya and the kids and left, leaving Layla there. My very empathetic wife let her stay in our house since she was wailing so much, and honestly, after the lies, I couldn't care less about her. I did ask Millie if she was okay with Layla spending the night, and after seeing Layla break down like that, I wasn't surprised she let her stay. She made it very clear the only reason she was allowing it is because she's not like her, and that was enough to let me know we've been doing a good job raising her. She also said she was still waiting for her to explain why she abandoned her and why she chose to come back now. We did get to discuss how she felt about Layla overall, and needless to say, she was very disappointed with her approach. I took the chance to assure her she shouldn't be pressured to side with me and my wife, and that she can get to know Layla if she wants to. We would always love her no matter what. She assured me she wouldn't be going anywhere, and it was very emotional for me because my heart was at ease hearing her say that. Layla and Jeremy are still not talking, so Layla lives with us for now, since my parents don't want her at their house either, and my wife thinks she's too unstable to be left alone. But the more she delays telling us the truth, the faster her time is running out in the house. I just don't recognize my sister anymore. She was never like this. My parents raised her so well. I get she was traumatized by Millie's father's death, but surely it's not enough to change someone so drastically. And to abandon your child despite knowing you're the only parent they have left. Then coming back after a long time to take her away from people who love her. It just makes it hard for me to sympathize with her. I doubt any one of us will take this to the courts now that Lila's husband knows the truth. In the comments, give her a time limit. A week should be enough for her to get her act together enough to move forwards. Any longer than that, and you would be actively harming your daughter by having her around. Good luck on your next moves. Op answers. Oh, don't worry about that. She has until tomorrow to answer Millie's questions. She can come up with the most sane of explanations, but the lies that she told her husband and his family will be her downfall. I know for sure nothing she says will ever convince Millie, and I did tell Layla that I'll drag her out myself if she doesn't leave tomorrow, regardless of the explanation, and I would have the abandonment charges pressed against her. I just hope it doesn't come to that and she just apologizes and peacefully exits our lives, because even now, I still haven't heard a single sorry from her. I can see she's taking advantage of my wife's empathetic nature, but I'm going to end it. I tried to reach out to Op to ask how it went the next day, but I haven't heard back. Poor Millie. I can't even imagine how traumatic this whole situation is for her. And for Jeremy and his kids too. I don't understand how Layla thought she could swoop in and play mom to the child she abandoned, or how she thought she could get away with all the lies. Layla ruined 2 families. What a class act. His wife is very kind. I feel terrible for Millie being caught in the middle of this and now having Layla in the same house as her, but Oop and his wife sound like wonderful parents. Get her TF out of your house. WTF. Wow, the wife is just letting that woman stay? I'd throw her out. For the amount of mental trauma she's caused her own child and brother. She chose this. Yeah, she may have been grieving her late husband. But who leaves their child behind and go start a new family? And tries to go back thinking everything will be fine and dandy. What a naive fool. Sorry. I'm really mad. My dad was very similar. He left my mom to go on a trip with another woman whilst we were on holiday in Barcelona. My mom and I were stranded in Spain, since he had stole my mom's money for football t-shirts and beer. And we had to get from somewhere. I don't really remember that much about that part. I just mind my mom was super stressed, for 4 years. My mom and me never heard from him. And then, when I was 5, 6, He tried to suddenly pop into my life and pretend nothing happened whilst evading child payments. Woman facepalming. Some people. Huh. Thanks for compiling and posting this op. His wife is too nice. Yeah, Lila's got a lot of explaining to do. Especially since she spun this story to her husband that it would be impossible to get Millie back. When you tell a lie like that, you gotta stick to it. She sucks all around. I don't get why everyone caught up on Oop showing Jeremy the texts. They're not all 12-13-year-old texts. It's 12-13 years worth of texts. For all we know, he only showed Jeremy the last couple months or years of texts and not over a decade's worth in one go. That woman is terminally nasty and stupid. Leave the poor girl alone, FFS. While it makes total sense, my heart broke at the fact that she couldn't even tell which one was the mom. Fairly so, obviously. Genuinely am baffled at the mentality of this woman. Can anybody who speaks asshole translate? Someone has been watching too many soap operas. Money. That's why she abandoned her. There was no job. She met him and saw what kind of luxuries he could provide, so she lied and deceived everyone while leaving her child in the dust. I am curious why she came back though. Remind me. 4 weeks. If this took place in the States, then Layla won't win custody. A judge will see it as abandonment. Not to mention Millie is 14 and old enough to tell a judge who she wants to live with. I didn't notice the his in the title and thought this would be about an abduction case. So, did I get that right? Oop had texts from 10 years ago to show as proof to the husband? Also, I'm skeptical about the daughter being angry at the bio mom. Usually you become detached from the adult that abandoned you at such a young age. I wouldn't have let her back into her life. She's proven she doesn't give a damn about her daughter. Only herself. This story has more red flags than imaginary Layla.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.